up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at Bowfinger, directed by Frank Oz, written by Steve Martin. This movie stars Steve Martin and Eddie Murphy. Let's waste no time. Let's talk about it. Overall, I love Bowfinger. Over 22 years later, I still think Bowfinger is a hell of a lot of fun, and it's backed by two really fun performances by Steve Martin and Eddie Murphy, who actually plays dual roles. Like Eddie Murphy plays two separate characters, and he is awesome in both those characters. One of the things that I really like about Bowfinger is the story. This movie is a hilarious satire on Hollywood filmmaking, and the premise of this movie is ridiculously funny. Steve Martin played the guy called Bowfinger, who is a down on his luck filmmaker, and he's trying to make this low budget movie. However, unbeknownst to his crew, the lead star Kit Ramsey doesn't know that he's being filmed for a movie, and this drives the character of Kit Ramsey to kind of like have these psychotic episodes where he thinks that real life aliens are out to get him, and he has to take refuge at this place called Minehead to get therapy from a guy called Terry Stricker, played by Terrence Stamp, and that whole premise is hilarious. And Steve Martin, I thought, did a fantastic job at just writing this beautiful satire on Hollywood filmmaking, poking fun at everything, And in this movie, it's just a lot of fun. Like Bowfinger is not this. Bowfinger is not this mean-spirited, comedic movie. It's a fun, light-hearted movie that really, at the end of the day, is a good underdog story about a small-time producer who wants to make a movie at any cost, even if he has to con people into doing so. But what's so good about the character of Bowfinger is that he comes across as so likable, and a lot of that has to do with Steve Martin just having a very charismatic presence and adding a lot of likability and charisma to the character of Bowfinger. That it's really hard to hate him, and you're rooting for Bowfinger and his crew to make it and make this movie. And I also thought that was the big genius of this movie, is the fact that the crew and Bowfinger come across as underdogs, like the little engine that could, so to speak. And I thought all the actors who played their roles on Bowfinger's crew were absolutely hilarious. His starlet, played by his would-be starlet, played by Heather Graham, just comes across as somebody who will sleep with whoever she can just to make sure she has just to make sure she gets some Hollywood clout. I thought Heather Graham was fine with her role. Christine Bernski plays like this very method actress in a way. I thought she was really good in her role as well. And all the other guys who were on the crew did fine as well. And even Jamie Kennedy was in this movie, and I've always been a fan of Jamie Kennedy. I thought he was funny in this movie as well. Like the cast, I have no complaints about the cast. The cast in this movie is fantastic. I mean, if I do have complaints, I just have two minor complaints, and that's about it, because I think the rest of the movie is fantastic. Uh, but first, let me continue with my positives. Let me get on to Eddie Murphy, who plays the dual role of Kit Ramsey and Jiff, who is actually Kit Ramsey's brother. Eddie Murphy as Kit Ramsey, I thought was absolutely hilarious. Like Eddie Murphy did a really good job at playing this neurotic, just self-absorbed action movie star who has got a lot of psychological problems. And I thought Murphy did a fantastic job of playing the character, and I thought Murphy really sells it when Bowfinger and his crew are unknowingly filming him, and his reactions that he gives are just so hysterically real, mainly because he thinks that these bad things are happening around him, and and the whole subplot of him going to this place called Minehead, which is basically like a satire of the Church of Scientology, that's headed by the guy called Terry Stricker, played brilliantly by Terrence Stamp. I thought was absolutely hilarious, and I actually liked the scenes of Murphy and Stamp. I thought they had really good on-screen chemistry with one another, and there's a lot of just subtle comedy with the conversations that those two have. I thought it was brilliant on Murphy and Stamp's part to make those conversations like funny, but at the same time playing them completely straight. And the whole thing of Kit having this like keep together, keep it together, keep it together, keep it together. I thought that stuff was absolutely hilarious. Then you get the character of Jeff, who is basically Kit Ramsey's younger brother, and Jeff is a completely different character. He's like this, naive, nerdy type of person, but he's really hysterical, and he becomes a part of Bowfinger's crew, and that's another fun performance by Eddie Murphy as well. I mean, if I do have a gripe, is that I would have liked to have seen Kit and Jeff share some screen time with one another, because I think that would have been really, really funny. And another complaint that I have is that Robbie Downey Jr. is in this movie, playing this big shot movie producer named Jerry Renfro, and in the scenes that he's in, it's Downey. How can you hate Downey? Even when Downey is in a minor role like this, he makes it memorable, and the way he delivers dialogue is great. And then maybe just like beg, can I just have maybe one or two more scenes with the character of Renfro? Maybe having him walk into Bowfinger while he's filming a scene or something like that, and he gets suspicious of what's going on. Give me something like that. Just like, oh, that'd be pretty cool to see. No, we didn't get that. He just appears here and there, but it's fun. It's really, really fun. And to me, it doesn't really take away from the overall experience of Bowfinger, because the movie, just as it is a hell of a lot of fun, including the last act where they're trying to get this big final scene, and Ramsey has got to say his catchphrase, "Gotcha, sucker," because the movie set up a joke about how all the white action stars like Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Van Damme all have these catchphrases, and Ramsey has no catchphrases. So "Gotcha, sucker" kind of becomes his catchphrase, which I thought was absolutely hilarious, and is actually a nice payoff to a joke that was set up earlier in the movie. That's another thing I love about this movie, is that it's so cleverly written, and that for the most part, every single joke that got set up has a payoff, including when you get to the end of this movie, with Bowfinger, wanting to get a FedEx envelope, because to him, a FedEx envelope is like the majestic thing that says, hey, Hollywood wants you to make movies. And when he gets his FedEx envelope, the last scene of the movie is him and Kid making a movie together that's a parody on ninja movies, and it's absolutely hysterical, and I love it. So yeah, I don't have a lot of bad things to say about Bowfinger. I love this movie. I think this movie's downright hysterical. I think it's a clever satire on Hollywood. It's a fun, lighthearted movie that is not mean-spirited in any way, shape, or form. And to me, I think this movie is grossly underrated and kind of overlooked and forgotten about. Like, I don't really hear a whole lot of people talk about Bowfinger. That's kind of a shame. This movie is damn good. And Steve Martin and Eddie Murphy were brilliant in this movie. And of course, Frank Oz is a comedic legend, going from his time with John Landis, and of course, being his work on the Muppets, awesomely directed as well. So yeah, Bowfinger to me gets a solid 9 out of 10. This movie is great, highly recommended. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Bowfinger. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.